I'm going to start wrapping up our assembly. We've come to the end. I'll just make one or two quick concluding points and hand over to Professor Michelle Williams, chairperson of the Global University Program at Wits University. I think in our conversation today, comrades, we all recognize that we are facing multiple pandemics: the pandemic of inequality, the pandemic of climate crisis, and the pandemic of biology. And all of these things are coming together. And I think the argument was made here today that we need new institutions to serve humanity and non-human nature. And I think in this context, we need a new architecture. We need to go beyond the WTOs that are holding us back and affirming the power of capital and big corporations. And maybe today we should all grapple with this issue of pushing the WTO even out of pharmaceuticals and other areas of life that are so important for all of us. I think the second important point that was made here today was reiterating the case for a people's vaccine, against profiteering from this vaccine, against the racism that's come to the fore in the way it's being procured and hoarded. But at the same time, the HIV/AIDS struggle in South Africa has underlined the importance of really taking people's power into this fight. To achieve a people's vaccine, it has to be driven from below. We need the social weight of all the forces that are conglomerating here and beyond. We need the 200 million members of La Via Campesina. We need the millions of members of the trade union movement. We need the thousands of activists in the food sovereignty alliances across the planet to really push this further. And I think this is a very, very important lesson coming out of today's conversation. We want a public good. We want the vaccine to be part of a commons. I think the third important point that has come out is that healthcare has been about inequality. It's been inaccessible to the vast majority even before COVID-19. Decades of neoliberalization has even hollowed out and made our healthcare systems exclusive for a minority. And I think today we reaffirm the importance of the struggle for placing universal public healthcare on the national agenda. We've got to come out of this COVID moment clinching this. It's going to be important for further mutations, for further pandemics, and even for the climate crisis. So it's crucial for a progressive agenda today on the planet. The other very important point that was made was that we are all standing against vaccine deniers, vaccine anti-vaxxers, etc., that stand against the science around vaccines. And we have it on our continent, we have it here in South Africa and other parts of the world. We also here today affirm the importance of continuing the struggle wherever we are. So there are going to be key moments over the next few months with the WTO convening. There's going to be the UN meeting, there's going to be EU Commission sitting, etc., etc. We all need to rally as the calls come through. Different organizations in the space and beyond should step up, and we're all going to rally and build solidarity and push back. The outcomes from this, the recordings from all of this will be shared with the EU, the WTO, the US, and a whole host of other governments in the world. The other point that came out very strongly is that South-South countries should also step up. And we should, in our different countries, push them to also change the narrative. The idea that we have manufacturing capacity in our countries is very, very important. This point was underlined by Anna particularly. We need to reach out to manufacturers in our country and to get them to give voice to their role that they can play. And then finally, I think there were other campaign thrusts that people have spoken to. We really need to educate communities and workers around the information regarding vaccines and its importance, but we also need to educate against disinformation. We also had some very important other contributions. There is going to be a public transport campaign led by ITF. So I think all of us should be aware of this and rally to this and make the connections between public transport and vaccines as a public good and so on. With that, I'm going to hand over to Michelle Williams, the chairperson of the Global Labour University Program at WITS, to say a vote of thanks.
Thanks, Vish. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I wanted to start by thanking all of the panelists, and especially the trade union panelists, as well as the progressive civil society panelists. These are representatives from South Africa, the continent, and internationally. I want to thank everyone for coming. Um, because I'm the chairperson of the Global Labor University program at WITS, I want to give a special thanks to the trade union activists and leaders who came on board. I think it reflects the depth of our relationship between progressive academics and educationalists, as well as unionists. So thank you very much for your attendance today and your speaking. Secondly, I want to thank the attendees, both on Zoom, but even more on COPAC's Facebook page. There were many, many attendees on the Facebook page. I also want to thank the FES, the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung's Trade Union Competency Center. It's the Southern Africa region based here in South Africa. They help fund the backroom work that had to go into this today. So thank you, FES TUCC. I also want to thank, perhaps most importantly as well, is COPAC, and especially Jane Cherry, Awanda Buthelezi, and Ferial Adams for their behind the scenes work to make today happen, as well as to making the actual event. And then Vish, also I would like to thank Vish Satgar he's a member of the GLUE committee, but also a COPAC chairperson. So he brought these two things together to really do the background work to make this happen. I guess most importantly, I'd like to thank all the healthcare, the frontline workers, and all the people who are putting their lives on the line to keep us alive. So thank you. And I hope that today marks the beginning of a global, not just for vaccines, but as we heard, transport and all the other progressive issues that we need global struggles for. So I hope this is the beginning of a real global movement. And thank you to everyone for coming, and good night, or good morning to those of you in LA. But good whatever, wherever you are on planet Earth. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
very
Comrade
much. She's
Amanda. Bye-bye.